Anytime I post anything about credit cards and what they do, how they work, or anything like that, I am always asked about balance transfers. Should I do it? Are they a good idea? Will they save me money? Is this particular scenario a good offer? What is a balance transfer? And is a balance transfer the same thing as a cash advance? Hi everyone, my name is Lisbeth and I make videos that help you plan for a better financial future while living your best life today. If you are new to my channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on new weekly videos. In today's video, I wanted to go over 3 different balance transfer scenarios that 2 of which I've used myself and 1 of which I recommended to a friend and tried it out. So they have been tried by either myself or someone who I've known for a long time. And these are just scenarios that could kind of help you make a decision if you are on the fence of a balance transfer, or you just need a little bit more information on what you can do with balance transfers. First off, a balance transfer is not the same thing as a cash advance. A cash advance is very, very pricey, and I highly do not recommend it. For those of you who don't know what a balance transfer is, it is simply moving one debt to another, right? And the one you are moving it to is usually a credit card. So why in the world would you want to transfer your debt from one debt to another if debt is debt, right? Well, let me give you 3 scenarios in which transferring over might be the best idea. Scenario number 1. Let me paint a picture for you. I tend to budget with my credit card. That means I limit the amount of money I spend on a credit card every month. That includes bills and every category in my budget that I have. Now, there was this one time towards the end of the year where my expenses were a little bit more. There was unexpected expenses that came up, and I could have dipped into my emergency savings. That's what it's there for. But I try really hard to not do it. So this is what I did instead. My expenses totaled up to about $500, right? So I put it on my credit card that I normally put everything on because it earns me rewards. And so instead of $1,500 that I owed, now I owed $2,000. I budget for $1,500, so $1,500 gets paid off right away. Those other $500 though, what I did instead was I looked at my credit union credit card, which actually does not charge any balance transfer fees. I know this is rare and it's not very common for a traditional credit card, but if you have a credit union credit card, you might want to look into this option. So anyways, I have that option. Balance transfers are free. It comes in as a transaction on my credit union credit card. It comes off as a payment on my traditional credit card. So I submitted for a balance transfer. In essence, there was a $500 payment made on my traditional credit card, making my statement balance now 0, meaning I don't pay any interest on that card come next month. The $500 got transferred over to my credit union card, which means now I owe $500 on that card. Now, since it was still sort of in the beginning stages of that statement cycle, the statement cycle didn't actually end until the following month of that credit card. So say this was December, my due date on the first one is the 1st. My due date on the other one is the 25th. So I still had a few more weeks to rack up a balance on my credit card for my credit union. And I didn't, of course, but come the 25th, the statement closes, they generate a bill, and I get billed for those $500. At this point, I would have already been charged interest on my traditional card, but I didn't because I transferred it over. That one now produced a bill, and then I had until 25th of next month to pay off those $500. That gave me about almost 2 months to pay off those additional $500 in emergency spending that I had to do. So I found new ways to cut for my budget so that my normal $1,500 was less than that, and try to come up with the other $500. So by the time the next statement closed, it was already all paid off, and I didn't owe any interest, and I didn't have to tap into my emergency savings. The whole idea behind this balance transfer was that I was extending the amount of time I had to pay off the additional expenses that I wasn't anticipating without having to dip into my emergency savings. On top of that, if by any reason I couldn't pay off the entire balance, at that point I would dip into my emergency savings, pay off the remaining to still not pay any interest on that amount. I would only recommend this if you have free balance transfers, because that way you don't have to worry about additional fees being tagged on and then the possibility of still having to pay interest on the card in the future if you can't pay it off on time. Scenario number 2 is there was a particular time in my life where I did rack up more debt on my credit card than I would have liked. It got to the point where I was realizing that I was paying way too much in interest on this one particular card. So I made this plan. I said I'm going to overpay by this amount and I should be paid off by X date. Then I got an offer in the mail for this credit card that I had at a 0 balance saying, hey, if you want to transfer over your balance, we will give you 0% interest for 12 months with only a 3% balance transfer fee. So looking at the current credit card that I had and I was paying interest on, it was way more beneficial for me to pay the 3% transfer fee and then have 12 months at a 0% interest to pay off that second card. I kept the same plan I had to pay the same exact amount that I was going to pay to the traditional card, but instead now I moved it to pay off this card. What happened? I paid that second card off way faster because I was not being charged interest every month. So anytime you do get a balance transfer offer, it is worth taking a look if you have any additional credit card debt, because 9 times out of 10, that 3 to 5% fee that you will be charged to transfer over a balance is way less than if you keep paying monthly interest. Now, with this, make sure that you're not adding additional debt to that first card, because then you're defeating the purpose of trying to pay down your debt. So be very wary of that. And I highly recommend that if you had problems using that credit card, then that might mean that you have to put it away until you completely finish paying off the card that you transferred the balance to. In scenario number 3, this is what I recommended a friend to do when he received checks in the mail from his credit card company and pretty much them saying, hey, we'll charge you a 5% transfer fee if you deposit this check into your account for any amount up to the amount that you have available, including the fee, but you can use those funds to pay for home expenses, or they listed out different kinds of things that you could do, essentially making it cash. So sort of like a cash advance, but this is the bank actually telling you that you can use it for cash. Now, a friend of mine owed a family member money and had that burden on him of having to pay back a family member. You know, that never feels good. So I said, you have these checks with you. Why don't you make that balance transfer, get the money cash into your account, pay off your family member, and now you have a year's worth of time to pay off that credit card instead of having to worry about paying off your family member. Yes, there's an origination fee of 5% in this scenario, but I think the peace of mind of not having to worry about paying off a family member and instead just making a plan to pay off the credit card is a whole lot better on an emotional state than, the 5% fee. That is completely up to you if that's the way you want to go about it, but that is also an option if and only if they give you the option to make your balance transfer cash. That third scenario can also be used to pay off, maybe you have a small loan left on your car loan, and instead of paying that, 5-10% interest on it every month, you can finish paying it off with that cash and just pay off the credit card after that. And of course, you can always do that if you're wanting to pay multiple credit cards off. Instead of just doing one balance transfer, you can cash in the check and then make different payments to different cards. In a sense, you're consolidating your different credit card loans into one payment. In any of those scenarios, though, I highly recommend you to have a plan in place and how you're going to pay it off within the time period that they're giving you for 0% interest. I think once you kind of make that challenge for yourself of having a deadline of when you need to pay it off, you're a lot better at focusing down and making cuts where you need to and really paying that off. I always try to take it as a challenge on how fast can I pay this off, and it's always worked. So there you have it, 3 different scenarios in where balance transfers can actually be a good idea. If you have any additional questions on any particular scenario that I mentioned and you would like more information, then feel free to leave me a comment down below and tell me if you've tried any of these, if you used a balance transfer in a different way, because I would love to know that. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you found this information helpful. And if you haven't subscribed already and you like the information that is being given to you, then I highly suggest you do. You can even press the notification button next to it to be notified when I post new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all next time.